Chris, along with you now. Plenty to get to today. Of course, we had the Michael Smith commitment yesterday out in Savannah, Georgia. But I got to start off with this. Ask these guys this during the break there. Any particular memories of Jefferson Pilot Sports from Wes or Chris? As that's what Preston talked about a little bit during the last hour.
Yes. Dave Neal. We were talking about it. I've got to give credit. Wes has the best Dave Neal, like, just explanation. We were talking about it one day, I think in here, actually. He's just like, a lot of Mississippi State. But, like, Dave got all these random games.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys heard us talking about in the last hour, but I found this old tweet from a couple years ago. Somebody put up about, like, the very specific things you were going to see on a JP Sports broadcast. Which included getting the Napa jingle stuck in your head for the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. They played that commercial a bunch.
When we were talking about jingles, we left that one off.
That is a good one. Napa know-how?
Yes.
It was going to be a minimum of 95 degrees no matter where the game was taking place. Mm-hmm. Every person on the broadcast is going to be named Dave, of course, led by Dave Neal. And your team was going to inexplicably be in a 4-quarter dogfight with either Vanderbilt, a Lou Holtz USC team, Mississippi State, or Arkansas.
That's what I said. Mississippi State, Arkansas. Of course, I remember a lot of JP Sports games with Lou Holtz's Gamecocks. Preston
we played
starring in those.
Played a lot of them.
Is that Preston Thorne? Which pixel is he?
Exactly. I can't see all the blur.
And with going along with the 95 degrees, there would not be a cloud in the sky. It was always going to be bright and sunny, which I think made the bitmap of the television broadcast look even worse.
You think that when they were doing the Jefferson Pilot, they should have had that on NCAA for the settings, like Jefferson Pilot settings, bright sky, random SEC stadium. I want to play this game on Jefferson Pilot.
You know what? They're coming out with the game next year. Maybe you can.
I need to submit that
recommendation.
I need to submit that retrofit. We want to play it on Jefferson Pilot.
But Dave Neal needs to be the unlock a announcer. Like, you got to reach some level and you can unlock Dave Neal.
Dave Neal.
I would go to the ends of the earth to try to. Is there a cheat code? How long do I have to play this game to get Dave Neal?
So he still does the noon game on SEC Network now.
He has a very
carved out a very specific niche for himself.
He does. His background is fascinating. Like, I didn't even realize, because he did. Wes probably remembers he did some Braves coverage, Atlanta Hawks. He's done a lot of stuff. He's quietly very decorated.
Hey, here's
very
this.
Underrated.
Our man Dan weighs in on the Firehouse Subs text line 803-404-6100. You might have forgotten this. The Bluegrass Miracle was a JP Sports game.
Was that Dave Neal?
Probably.
Yeah, it had to be. I'll look it up.
It had to be.
It had to be. No other option.
Hey, Dave Neal is fantastic, and it bothers me that they don't give him any bigger games, to be honest with y'all. No. But I will say this. So for the longest time, you see an old game of Preston's on there, and it does look like it was played in maybe 1991. And the thing is, though, this is one of those things, how something will just you'll have an epiphany. You'll be like, oh, that makes sense. So when we were going through those times, it did not look like that on TV. It looks like that now because if you're watching an old game like that on TV or on YouTube, the resolution of what we watch now is so much better that it just looks that bad. But when we were watching it on our TVs that matched that resolution, did not look near as bad as it did back then. So, you have this moment, or at least I did, where I would be like, man, did it really look that bad back then? No, it didn't. It didn't actually look like it was 1984.
But see, you have the benefit of life to understand that. When I'm trying to show that film to some of my high school students,
they think you're
did you
from
play
the 60s?
Yeah. What is this? Is it black and white? What Technicolor? What's going on?
Did y'all really watch games where you couldn't read the players' numbers?
They're like, what? I can't see. This hurt my eyes.
Dave Neal called the fade. And of course, Tyler, to your point, two of your team, South Carolina, Lou Holtz, and Mississippi State.
Big game. Big game, Dave.
And I think that was a hot day.
You
hit all the
You think that was ultimate JP, South Carolina, Mississippi State is this is the most Jefferson Pilot of all Jefferson Pilot games.
We had somebody on the Firehouse Subs text line last hour bring up the 04 and 05 South Carolina Arkansas games, which were
That's
both
solid.
wins
Oh,
for the
yeah.
Gamecocks. Both of those were also on JP Sports, and it
Mhm.
was very hot.
Of course.
The I would almost guarantee. I think I remember this correctly. The South Carolina Alabama 2001 game
Mhm.
that was probably one of I think probably one of the best games in South Carolina football history as far as just being having everything and then having the was that Rod Trafford
Rod Trafford, shout out to Traff.
with the catch at the end. You know, South Carolina comes in. This is not your Alabama team necessarily comparable to current Alabama, but still it's Alabama.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was
And
the Mike Shula Alabama, but who's counting?
and the defense gave up a bunch of points for some reason
Mhm.
that day. Offense picked them up, and then I think scored 2 straight touchdowns at the end. Got a couple of needed stops, and that was easily one of the best games of the Holtz era. And I'm 99% sure that was a Jefferson Pilot Sports classic.
You are correct. September 29th, 2001, 12:30 kick, a 37-36 victory for the Gamecocks. They actually went 2-0 on JP Sports that year. They beat Clemson as well on a Jefferson Pilot
There
game
you go.
later in
Wow.
November.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Good
Love
old
some JP.
love the Jefferson Pilot. Shout out to times that have gone past now.
I think this just came to mind. Special segment,
All right,
GC Takeover Hour. We need to try to get Dave Neal on the show.
let's do it.
We-
Yeah.
We might need to extend the show like 8-hour special all day, all night, and we'll just reminisce with Dave.
It's the
on
Dave
his
Neal
favorite-
takeover.
The Dave Neal Takeover. Just him talking about his favorite game. Dave, do you remember Preston? What stood out about his game?
It just made me laugh because Dave can probably travel the rest of the country and nobody notices, but if Dave goes to a restaurant in Starkville, they're like, "That's you." It's
Signing
Dave.
autographs.
It's Dave.
They just
Neal.
hear his voice. Sorry, wait a minute.
I know that voice.
I know that guy.
That guy. I know him.
Dave
Oh,
Neal's the
good-
best.
Good times. Good times.
See, with the quality of the broadcast, like the quality of the picture of the broadcast, I don't know if a night game would have worked on JP Sports. You wouldn't have been able to see anything.
They had to have it during the day at 12 o'clock
Yeah, it's like,
Had to.
okay, they
because the
check.
sun had to be at a certain spot.
They check with all the meteorologists in the SEC. Which one of you is going to have a sunny day with absolutely no clouds so we can broadcast our game?
Ah,
Also, a good foil, though. Like I was telling Preston this before we came on. I'm not a huge Andre Ware. I know he's a great player, but him as a broadcaster, I'm not so sure. So
Mhm.
Dave's there to kind of balance him out. Wes, do you have any Andre Ware takes? You just kind of neutral on it.
I'm neutral. I just
Neutral.
remember they
Nice.
had like 14 Daves working the broadcast back then. I remember it was like Dave, and Dave, and then the spotter, his name was Dave as well. I think.
Sideline reporters, Dave,
Yeah,
for some reason.
there's a lot of Daves. I don't know. I don't really remember who the other Daves were. I just remember there were multiple Daves on air for that.
Rooster P weighs in on the Firehouse Subs text line 803-404-6100, reminiscing of many games on JP, watching George Rogers run over people in person.
Here they are. The 3 Daves. I found it. Dave Neal, of course. Dave Archer and Dave Baker. 3
I
Daves.
don't think I
That is
would've gotten
hilarious.
Any of the other 2 Daves, if you'd have given me 1,000 guesses.
Dave Baker came to my mind, but that might have just been such a generic.
yeah.
That like seems like
Sounds
it should
like your
follow.
neighbor down the street.
Yeah.
I feel like he's done something else though. That name does sound really familiar, Dave Baker.
If you ask somebody, do you know Dave Baker? Everybody would be like, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know if I know him, but I guess I
It
know.
could be
There's-
anything.
There's
Like
got to be a Dave Baker somewhere in my phone.
neighbor, plumber, your local JP Sports
the
announcer.
dad in your kid's class,
Yes.
like their friend or whatever's dad.
100%.
That's my guy, Dave Baker.
Dave Baker.
We
Anyway, how did y'all get on the
I
JP
have
Sports?
no idea.
I don't know how we got here. I don't know. I don't know how we got here.
We in the conversation about Jefferson Pilot Sports, I said the last thing that was kind of comparable to that, because I think Jefferson Pilot went away like 2007, 2008 or something like that, as like ESPN and stuff started to take over more broadcasts. The last comparable thing that I had was prior to the SEC network in 2014, they would do the SEC TV game that always kicked at 12:21 on Saturdays. You guys remember that?
Yes.
that was like a 5-6 year thing that again ended when the SEC network came in, but that was like the most comparable thing to Jefferson Pilot sports that I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
What was Jefferson Pilot? Like, who was it? Who was doing all that? You know what I'm saying? Like, who was it owned by? Do you remember? I feel like SEC TV just sort of took over for that, or was bought, or was handed off. I don't know the mechanics of it, but I remember Jefferson Pilot, literally that Alabama game. We didn't have cable at the house, and Jefferson Pilot in York County was on like channel 64 or something, and 64 was just, it was in the range but out the range. So your kids at school have no idea what this even means either. So trying to get the rabbit ears to catch channel 64, it was JZY 64, I think it was.
The struggle.
And trying to watch the game, and it was like one room of the house picked it up a little bit better than the other. So I'm sitting there on Saturday afternoon trying to watch this game on like the little TV in the bedroom. And it was a struggle, man. Like, people these days have no idea.
I guarantee you the back of that TV was like 3 feet long, right?
Oh yeah, it's like up against the wall.
There's no flat screens.
That's why when people complain about ESPN Plus, I got to get ESPN Plus to watch this game. Like, y'all, there were games that you had to pay $39.95 or $29.95 to watch on pay. Y'all remember that little stretch? That little slice of college football life,
and it was always like a FCS team too. It was never like a really
South
good
Carolina Furman
high profile game you actually wanted to see. It's like pay $40 to watch them play like Furman on a Saturday or something.
I think that's what they had to do to justify the cost.
Wes is over here remembering
the game.
Did you put tinfoil on your bunny ears?
If you actually hold it, it does better because it's like
the whole game.
It's like using your body as an antenna. Basically.
Physics, science.
My grandma had like the giant one like in her yard. You know what I mean? Like the 10 to 12 foot. Look,
you actually turn it and it goes.
Shout out to Pop. We had one of those. My grandfather.
All right, everybody's changing. Speaking of changing, everybody's changing their dial on this radio.
They're all here with us, man. They're all here with us. They're all here. We'll go to break and we'll come back and.
Yeah, we'll actually talk about some like Gamecock related stuff on the other side. It is kind of what this hour is for. But there's never anything wrong with taking a trip down memory lane and a little bit of
just a little bit of nostalgia for us.
So we'll hit the break, come back on the other side. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, 107.5 The Game.
The Early Game with Bill Gunter and Jen Jensen.
You know, you look at the way they recruit and you can kind of make your mark. Hello?
No, I was listening. I was listening to Red's take on the whole situation.
Exactly.
That was a very spirited. Either Red completely disagreed with you or was behind you cheering. That's my dad. That's a great point, Dad. You keep making that point.
He's gotten bad, man. He's like, he follows me outside, and then he wants a treat, and he barks until I give him a treat, and half the time he keeps barking. So I don't know.
It sounds like working with Bill first thing every morning.
It is kind of. Jen, I really bother Jen until I get a treat each and every morning. So
he begs a lot.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
This is Damon Amendolara with your CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by TaxSlayer. Start filing for free today at TaxSlayer.com. Scott Rowland, officially a Hall of Famer today, and while he was very good, hard sell that he's a Cooperstown immortal. He garnered only 10% of the ballot when he entered it 6 years ago. Now he's getting 76%. Feels like a stat overcorrection because of defensive metrics. And sure, nice career, but a Hall of Famer? Bridge too far. This is Damon Amendolara.
CBS Sports Radio. What does it feel like to file with TaxSlayer and get your guaranteed maximum refund? It feels like the last level of a video game, facing off against the final boss who stands between you and your refund.
All your refunds belong to me.
Using the power of TaxSlayer like a secret power-up he doesn't see coming.
Only the most tax confident can defeat me.
Throwing your laptop at his video game face and watching him crumble into a giant pile of shiny coin tax refunds.
Oh, not fair. You use TaxSlayer.
Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
By now, you know that sound. It's the sound of the Home Depot. But what about those sounds? Those are the sounds of an LG wash tower with ultra-large capacity, serving up a powerful yet gentle clean in just 29 minutes. Making this the sound of savings on the best appliance brands. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. Shop final days to get an LG wash tower now up to 25% off. Pricing valid January 5th through January 25th, 2023. Gas Dryer Extra, U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Attention all golf and sports club enthusiasts. Are you looking for a top-notch, family-focused facility in the Midlands? Look no further than the Windermere Club. Our 18-hole Pete Dye golf course is legendary and well-maintained. Our indoor-outdoor tennis complex is top of the line. And our fitness center is loaded with the latest equipment. But that's not all. We also have a state-of-the-art aquatic center with programming for swimmers of all levels. And the best part, our rates are unbeatable. Craving delicious food with a view? Come enjoy the Lakeside Grill. Our talented chef serves up mouth-watering dishes with a beautiful lake view. Lakeside Grill, where every meal is a masterpiece. Don't miss out on this opportunity to be a part of the Windermere Club for less than $70 a month. The Windermere Club, where excellence meets affordability. Call us now at 786-PUT to schedule a tour and take advantage of our special January offer. That's 786-PUT.
Heath here with the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder from First Palmetto Bank. And if the new year has you building or buying a new home, you need a guru in this market. First Palmetto Bank is owned and operated here in the Midlands, and Jacob has local decision makers, which means quick and precise processing and underwriting. If you're looking to make a move, give Jacob a call, 803-719-1005, or email him at jcrowder@firstpalmetto.com.
Thanks, Heath. Interest rates have stabilized. The local housing market also has stabilized. Now is a good time to buy a house. At First Palmetto, we have products that help homebuyers keep payments down. Also, if you are considering building your future home, please ask me about our no-nonsense construction loans. The new year brings change, and if I can help you, please give me a call, 803-719-1005.
So to follow up, rates in the housing market are stable, which makes now a good time to buy.
I'd say that sums it up.
Great. Call Jacob Crowder today, 803-719-1005.
My NMLS number is 198432. First Palmetto Bank is a member of FDIC and any closet lender.
Streaming only on Peacock. From the mind of Rian Johnson, the writer-director of Knives Out.
Miss Kale, you've got this gift, always knowing the truth.
I only know if something is a lie. The real trick of it is to figure out why.
Natasha Lyonne is Charlie Kale.
It wasn't an accident. I think there's been a murder. You watch too much Dateline.
A new 10-part mystery series.
Wolves on my fender. I gotta keep moving. I have been kind of a death magnet.
Poker Face, streaming January 26th, only on Peacock.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language? In as little as 3 weeks, Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game.
Discover Herndon Certified, Herndon Chevrolet's premier used car warranty. Shop with complete confidence knowing Herndon Chevrolet has got you covered.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs.
Founded by firemen with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell
On the home of the Gamecocks,
107.5 The Game.
Back in on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs on 107.5 The Game. Tyler, Wes, Chris, and Preston, along with you. Certainly going to jump into the news of the Michael Smith commitment for the class of 2024 in just a moment, but I do want to remind you that the men's basketball team in action tonight, taking on the Florida Gators. That game tips at 7 o'clock. Pregame can be heard right here on 107.5 The Game, starting at 6:30. If you are going to be at home watching it on TV, though, you're going to make sure you have the right setup to do so, and you can do that by giving our friends at Integrated Media a call.
Yeah, give Michael, Nathan, and his team at Integrated Media a call. Check out their website, Integrated Media Inc. That's inc.com. Or give them a call, 803-948-8327. They can do just about anything in your home. If you need some inspiration, maybe you just need a TV mounted, or you need kind of some help figuring out, hey, what kind of TV should I get? What's the best brand? Where should I put it? How do I maximize the sound and look? But if you need some inspiration, I recommend going to their Instagram page, guys. That is integrated_media_Columbia. I'm looking around here. I am now inspired. Not only do they have a bunch of awesome TV locations out here on some patios, but they have whole home solutions. smart home solutions, including security. They even got something they've installed here, guys. It's a panel that you can just press it and it'll play Spotify throughout your home speakers. That is outstanding. Even a golf simulator install that they've done. So really, if you can dream it, they can do it at Integrated Media. Give them a call again, 803-948-8327. Make sure you check out their Instagram page. Also check them out on Facebook for some examples of work they've done. That's Michael and Nathan at Integrated Media.
So, guys, Chris was on location there yesterday, had the Michael Smith commitment, tight end class of 2024. That now makes 3 4-star commitments for the Gamecocks and some more potentially to come here in the next couple of days. But so far, so good for the class of 2024 for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, another big pickup for them. And this is something that I know we had kind of talked about in advance of Michael Smith's decision, in that this had a chance to be a really big week for South Carolina. Already, entered the weekend having Dante Reno committed, the 4-star top 250 quarterback in that class, who's been kind of not only a really good player in his own right, but has been a guy that's really advocated for the class, has really helped recruit and kind of galvanize a lot of targets from the 2024 class. Of course, USC had the big junior day on Saturday, had a lot of big-time guys on campus, got Cam Pringle on Sunday, and we entered this week knowing that they would have a chance to get even better with Smith committing yesterday. And then, of course, I know we'll talk about later on another significant target in Wendell Gregory announcing his decision on Friday. But to go back to Smith, Wes, this is a guy that USC has been on for a very long time, first school to offer him, and another top 150, another 4-star prospect that they now have in the boat.
Hey, this kid's a stud. Like, I know sometimes, guys a 4-star, you don't necessarily always know what to expect when you turn on the film. And you pop the film on with him, and you're like, okay, yep, get it, see it, understand it. They always tell kids when they're making their film, put your best plays first. College coaches don't have 5 minutes to watch this guy. Put your best plays first. When you pop on the film for Michael Smith, you automatically get a feel for who he is as a player. Very first clip on there, it's a play of him in the end zone, going up, laying out for a ball. And I said that's who he is right there. He's down the field, making a play, getting open. And, I think that describes him as a tight end. This is a modern tight end, not necessarily your traditional inline. I don't think you want him in there blocking linebackers a ton. This is a guy you're going to sort of split out. You look at his highlight on the huddle, it pops up and it says Michael Smith, wide receiver / tight end / I think there's maybe a DB in there / there's like 4 different positions. That's kind of him, but I think this is a guy you move around. I think if you're Dow Loggins and Jody Wright, you're really excited to have this guy on the boat. Huge offer list, Ohio State, Arkansas, were the other 2 just finalists. But even beyond that, it's a really nice offer list. And I tell y'all what, I think there's something to South Carolina recruiting Savannah. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. It's not a tough trip at all from Savannah to Columbia. It gets you out of like that greater Atlanta area where there's so much competition in the greater Atlanta area. Yeah, if a guy wants to come, you're going to take him. You have to recruit it, but it's hard to recruit Atlanta because everybody else is recruiting it. Savannah, I feel like there's a little bit more of a built-in advantage potentially for South Carolina. And this is the start of it, in my opinion. We'll see if they can continue to mine that. But getting back to Michael Smith as a player, I'm a fan. I think he's even a potential early impact guy. And Preston, I know I was showing you a little bit of his clips yesterday. What did you think from your former player and former high school coach hat?
Yeah, ball skills. The biggest thing that you can judge, because sometimes when you're watching film on high school guys, you don't know who they're competing against. You don't know what level they're playing against. You don't know who the cornerback is that they're going against. You don't understand any of that, but ball skills translate regardless of who they're playing against. And so when you see them being able to track the ball, being able to go up and make the catches at his highest point, those are things that to me seems that they'll translate early. And that's usually how guys get on the field earlier than other dudes, because I'm sure he probably going to have to work on blocking in the open field
Mm-hmm.
or doing some technical things that they'll ask them to do in college. But if you can go up and get it and you have sure hands, that's a chance to get on the field pretty early.
Yeah, real quick, I think it is kind of almost weirdly forgotten when people talk about wide receivers. If there's a wide receiver and he's tall and fast, you will see people be like, "Oh man, this guy is 6'3" and he runs a 4.45 and he's, got track times and all this stuff." And it's almost an afterthought of, hey, can he catch the football? And then it goes even beyond that. Can he track the football and adjust to the football in the air?
And that's the biggest one. Not to lament the death of, multi-sport athletes, but you hear a lot of coaches saying that when more players played baseball, they were playing the outfield, they were able to track a ball in the air. It's just a skill that they had more so. Whereas obviously you can track a football, but the ability to track a ball for long distances, like you said, it's almost an afterthought, but it's a huge part of being a receiver.
The most important
thing. Yeah.
I love basketball players at the receiver position. And obviously, again, Michael Smith is a tight end, but this is a pass catching tight end. That's going to be a huge part of his skill set. I think we talked about it the other day. There's a ton that goes into being a successful tight end because you're having to get some of the blocking side of things from almost like an offensive tackle at times, and you're at other times having to be a true wide receiver. So there's a lot that goes into it. But yeah, tracking the ball, catching the ball. He appears to catch the ball pretty naturally. Some guys fight the ball a little bit, I feel like. And that's something, yeah, you can hone your skills on that. It's not something that can't be taught, but there is a natural element to it, I think, as well. And so I think you look at him, there's a lot of traits here. There's a reason why he's like the number 6 tight end in the country is he can do all these different things. But Chris, you were there, obviously. Did what did you maybe pick up on location? Did you talk to anybody or get us any additional tidbits there in Savannah?
Yeah, I talked to his head coach, Mark Stroud, who's been around for quite a while. He spent, close to 20 years coaching public school ball, but he's also been at Calvary Day for a couple of different instances and has a really good track record there. And he raved about the kid. I mean, the biggest thing was, the gym was absolutely full of students, and that's how Stroud started out. Coach Stroud, when I asked him, about Michael Smith, he just said, "Hey, he's a great kid off the field. Everybody loves him. He's about all the right things." And so I know for Shane Beamer and probably for fans, that makes them feel good because not only is this a talented guy, but he's going to do things the right way. He comes from a great family. But he mentioned the ball skills too. I kind of was talking to him about, hey, this is what I see on film. What do you see coaching him every day? And he led off with that. His body control, his ball skills, his size. He can really run. He's kind of a big receiver skill set in like a tight end body when you look at him. And so he kind of reminded me, Wes, a little bit, just physically, not quite as big in terms of, bulk right now, but a little like Trey Kenyon, like at that same stage, like from a size perspective, maybe a little bit longer even. And I know Lee Eberly, who used to work in the Gamecock football recruiting office, who's one of our interns doing some scouting stuff, also really likes Michael Smith on film and even thought he could play defense if he wanted. But he's a tight end all the way for the Gamecocks and brings a lot of athleticism to the position.
I'm still all in on the guys that play multiple sports. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, I think, in Kendall's hour. But if, there's a point to specialize, I think. But when you're in high school, I think there's so much value to doing different things and to allowing your body to go through different movements and be, there's a different skill set for basketball. There's a different skill set for baseball, but there is a lot of translation over for those things. So a guy like this, from what I've heard, South Carolina obviously very excited to land him, but also there is a belief that there is a lot of upside to go here, that he is not a ready-made player, that his upside is really through the roof. And I think you can start to see them sort of stack classes, even though it's weird to say it like that because you're talking about just this past class and the 2024 class. But at tight end, the way they stacked it, Preston, the transfers were even from different classes. So you got a guy, Trey Knox, coming in. He's got 1 year left. Joshua Simon, he transfers in. He has 2 years left. Elksness from Florida has 3 years left. Then they had some freshmen coming in this past class that will be true freshmen this year. And then you have to fast forward ahead. Again, this is 2024, talking about a freshman in that next year, but you can almost fill out a depth chart there. Not necessarily right now. We don't know who is going to rise to the top, but you can fill out a depth chart in terms of your scholarships, where they are as far as classes and eligibility left. It really, to me, lets you, if you were going to take another tight end for 2024, you can like swing for the fences. You've really hit your needs, I feel like, at that position at this point.
We're going to run into a timeout, continue the Michael Smith conversation on the other side. Have some audio from his commitment yesterday I want to play for you guys and get your thoughts on a few things that he said. We'll continue with the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West, Chris, and Preston with you on 107.5 The Game.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs.
Founded by firemen with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell
On the home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
Dancing crew, trip for two, nailed the final interview. Game with Doug, brand new mug. Come here, kid, give me a hug. The more you want to do, the more we want to do. New COVID-19 boosters designed for recent Omicron variants are now available. Learn about eligibility and schedule a free updated booster today at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just one pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
One pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Hey, Dak Prescott here. Why do I choose proven quality sleep from Sleep Number? Because better sleep elevates my game. Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed helps me fall asleep faster, keeps me cool, and effortlessly adjusts for my best sleep. That's more focus, more edge, and more highlights. And that means more wins for all of us.
And now save $1,000 on the Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed Queen, only $19.99, plus special financing, only for a limited time. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the NFL. Special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
Start the new year in a new Chrysler or Jeep at Galliana Chrysler Jeep on Greystone with zip, zero, nothing down, and zero payments for the next 3 months. Lease a 2022 Jeep Compass with zero down, just $379 per month. That's right, a new Jeep Compass for $379 per month with zero down. Plus, get a $7,500 tax rebate when you lease a new Grand Cherokee, Wrangler, or Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid. And you can still custom order the exact Jeep you want for just $1 down and $1,000 below MSRP. And don't forget, Galliana Chrysler Jeep will take any trade in any condition, even if it's rusted, busted, or can't be trusted. So if you're interested in buying a new Chrysler or Jeep with zip, zero, nothing down, and zero payments for the next 3 months. Gotta go to Galliana. Start something new sales event at Galliana Chrysler Jeep on Greystone. I-126 Zoo Exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or GallianaSC.com. Compass stock number 29130. 42-month lease, zero due at signing. No security deposit, subject to later approval. Offer still combined, expires month end.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out.
My drinking had become a problem. Too many nights waking up at 3 a.m., sweating, head pounding, self-loathing, and anxiety hitting me hard. Thinking, how did I do this again? What's wrong with me? Why can't I stop?
If you're finally ready to stop drinking completely or just want to drink less, naltrexone could help you. Naltrexone is an FDA-approved medication that reduces cravings and pleasure from drinking, making it easier to drink less or quit alcohol altogether. And you can see improvement almost immediately. Whether your challenges with alcohol are mild, moderate, or severe, Or Health makes it simple to get started with treatment. Just text BEST to 323232 to get a secure link to our private online assessment. appointment. One of our licensed medical professionals will evaluate your assessment, and if medication is right for you, prescribe it directly online. We'll deliver your prescription right to your front door. No doctor's office visits required. You really can stop drinking or just drink less. Text BEST to 323232 to get started today. Text the word BEST to 323232. Text BEST to 323232.
Locally owned Atlantic Windows and Doors has been making Columbia area homes more comfortable, attractive, weather-tight, and energy efficient for over 35 years. How? By distributing products from the best window and door manufacturers in the country. These products give you the best looks, the best quality, and the best value, all based on your specific needs. And everything is professionally installed by their dedicated and experienced employees, not subcontractors. Atlantic Windows and Doors. Visit them online at awdsc.com.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen, with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
Back on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, Wes, Chris, and Preston along with you. Going to continue our conversation about Michael Smith and his commitment from yesterday in just a moment. But you look outside, you do see that it is a nasty, rainy day outside. I think this is the perfect day to head into one of your local Firehouse Subs locations and grab one of those hot and toasty subs and get today's sub of the day.
It is literally a perfect day for the New York Steamer. On my way in here, Preston knows all about it. On my way here, I heard Wes Mitchell, his voice, talking about the New York Steamer and nearly pulled off just to get one to smash before 11 a.m. I didn't get time, but you should go make time. So any of the 14 Midlands Firehouse Subs location, you can go get the sub of the day. There's one for every day of the week, Sunday through Monday, $5.99 for a small, $7.99 for a medium. And again, today's is the New York Steamer. You can walk into any of the Firehouse Sub locations. You can order online with Rapid Rescue at firehousesubs.com or download the Firehouse Subs app. Make sure you join the reward program so you can get some free Firehouse Subs during your next visit.
Guys, continuing on with the Michael Smith conversation, I said I got some sound from his commitment yesterday, and he was talking about kind of it coming down to South Carolina and Arkansas, and obviously Dow Loggins being the former tight end coach at Arkansas. Here's what Michael Smith had to say yesterday about choosing South Carolina and Loggins' influence on that.
Well, I was kind of leaning back and forth between Arkansas and South Carolina, and like when Coach Loggins took the job at South Carolina, it kind of narrowed my decision way farther down. So it felt like an easy decision to make, and then like it was like everything worked in one way for it to go at that point.
And obviously, we haven't gotten to the fall yet, and Dow Loggins is yet to call a play for the Gamecocks offense. But so far, so good. Another feather in the cap for what Loggins has been able to accomplish so far at South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, I think so far so good is how you would say it. It ultimately is going to come down to putting this offense together and dialing up some plays. And I would say the big goal is just to try to find a way to be more consistent than what we saw from South Carolina the last couple of years. But, I think getting Spencer Rattler back in Garnet and Black, getting Juice Wells back, and now just continuing on the recruiting trail, that was one thing to me that's not really a surprise because we were told by folks who cover Arkansas and cover Arkansas recruiting that, hey, recruiting has been a big positive for him at Arkansas. And this really wasn't even one of those things where, you kind of have to lead. It wasn't from a leading question, like, hey, how is he as a recruiter? Or, hey, he's a good recruiter, right? This was more like, this was the kind of the first thing out of a lot of people's mouths when, he was mentioned to us, right before he's about to get the South Carolina job. So not a surprise there. You watch his press conference, a personable guy, appears, really natural at connecting with people. And I think you're going to continue to see that, with South Carolina. And then obviously good job there by Jody Wright, tight ends coach. Jody's a football guy, has been doing this for a while. Jody was in the NFL for a little while, but I think he's a better fit where he's connecting with people, using his networking ability and getting out there and going by schools and stuff like that. So I think that position is in a good place. And obviously there was a previous connection there with Dow Loggins as well.
And I think to your point about Jody and Wright and doing a good job in recruiting, he's kind of the offensive side of the ball is Jimmy Lindsey. Like we always joke about how Jimmy Lindsey knows everybody. Like he has maybe 2 degrees of separation would be the maximum for like anybody in the world for Jimmy Lindsey, especially like in Georgia. And I don't think, guys, we spent a lot of time after the early signing day talking about like Bakari Swain, Jalen Kilgore, how they shot up in the rankings. Those were both like Jimmy Lindsey finds. They were both at like smaller schools in his recruiting territory. Now, Torian Gray and Beamer and all those guys did a really good job with him. But Jimmy has tons of connections, not only in Atlanta, but in a bunch of places in Georgia. And I think Jody Wright, you know, he's an Alabama kid. His dad, you know, was in the industry there in Alabama. Jody was a high school player in Alabama. He knows a lot of people in Mississippi. So I think you're seeing a lot of ties in those states. And then he does a good job positionally, you know, with the tight end group. And Wes, you hit on a point that I wanted to dive into a little bit more, you know, South Carolina recruiting in Savannah. So I made that drive, pretty easy drive, less than 3 hours, actually closer from Savannah to Columbia than to Athens. Athens is about 4. And not that that'll make some giant difference, but when you look at the 24, especially the 25 class, there's some other dudes in Savannah. One of them at Michael Smith's school, Donovan Johnson, who's a very highly ranked running back, actually transferred to IMG Academy, but there are some others in Savannah. One of them is going to be on campus this weekend, Elijah Griffin, who's right now, very early, he's ranked as the top prospect in the country for the 2025 class, big defensive lineman.
Yeah, I think Savannah is an area where – so here's the thing about Atlanta, like we were talking about. With Atlanta, everybody goes there, but there's Auburn fans all over Atlanta. You have Georgia all over Atlanta, obviously, UGA. Alabama recruits the heck out of Atlanta. Clemson recruits Atlanta. Ohio State recruits it. I mean, it is everybody is there. Savannah gets tucked away, and not that there's going to be as much talent in Savannah as in Atlanta, but it's sort of tucked away. You got to do your due diligence there. I think that the path, the blueprint for South Carolina is to find guys in what you would just call your due diligence areas. And what I mean by that is the areas that every school in the country isn't going to just naturally send a coach by that school every single year by default. There are some schools you're sending your coach who has that area to this school every single period that you can visit by default. There are areas that's obviously not the case. So if you're going to recruit the state of South Carolina, if you're going to recruit the more rural areas of Georgia and find the guys that you do hope one day sort of blow up, Bakari Swain is in an area that has another school that is normally the one putting out all the major prospects. South Carolina finds him instead, comes in on him, gets in early, and is able to land him really before he blew up. As you said, Kilgore ends up being a 4-star guy. I think more and more that's a conversation for the offseason. I think Kilgore is going to possibly push for early playing time at safety. Again, that's an offseason conversation, but there are areas in Georgia that you can sort of build your roster out. I think if you're South Carolina and Savannah, it just feels like maybe this is an area that Beamer and company can start to mine a little bit more for talent. Michael Smith being a really good start to that, I think.
Yeah, so Elijah Griffin is the prospect ranked number 1 by the On3 consensus in the country. Be on campus this weekend. Another one, Wes, that I believe was at the junior day this past weekend, Logan Brooking from the 2025 class. He is at Savannah Christian Prep in Savannah. The son.
That's Keith Brookings' kid.
Keith Brookings' son. So we'll age ourselves yet again. Former linebacker for the Atlanta Falcons.
He was a stud.
Terrorize
right?
my Panthers on a regular basis. First, it's like an NFC run of like the Panther. Like we had J.C. Horn, Joe Horn's son. He used to terrorize the Panthers. Now we got Keith Brookings' son. I'm sure there are others on the way, but it is a great point. Be strategic, be resourceful. And I think, Wes, like if you really dive in and you look at like where South Carolina's coaches are visiting and spending time, yes, there's a bunch of the Atlanta schools and the typical foot traffic stops because those schools have players and you need to go to those areas. But like this past week, the junior day, they had several prospects from Mississippi on campus, underclassmen, guys from Savannah. Obviously, we know Pete Limbo is going to hit New York and Philly. You've got the DMV area. Like South Carolina's devoting a lot of resources in those. And I think that's really, really smart for a lot of reasons. Maybe get into that a little bit more on the other side of the break.
Yeah, let's do that. I think we got to hit one here, Tyler, but I want to talk about that a little bit as well, Chris. Just the diversity as far as the locations this staff has ties in, I think is what you're seeing play out right now.
Yeah, we'll hit one more break to come back on the other side and wrap up Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs on your Wednesday right here, 107.5 The Game.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen, with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
It's time to contact AAA Heating and Air and tell them Bill Gunner sent you. That's right. 803-677-1500. If you're in need of repairs or maintenance to your heating and air system, contact AAA Heating and Air today. Again, 803-677-1500. You know you are putting comfort in your own hands with qualified technicians from AAA Heating and Air. So don't wait any longer. Contact them today. 803-677-1500. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we know how serious injuries change people's lives. I'm Jason Reynolds. When you're involved in a major car or truck accident, my team is on your side. You don't have to be alone. Let's do this together.
And I'm Stephen Samuels. When you're hurt at work, my team is with you from start to finish. We're people with a passion for helping injured workers. Bring your case to us and stop the worrying. We've got this.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 803-779-4000.
As a business owner, it's important your customers have the best experience possible. That includes a convenient place to park. Schroeder's Towing can help keep your lot and designated spaces available. The last thing you want is your customers to go somewhere else simply because they have no place to park. Schroeder's offers free signage to deter unwanted parking and removal of abandoned vehicles. They have your back 24/7. Schroeder's Towing, 1,100 5-star Google reviews, can't be wrong. 772-7930. 772-7930.
Schroeder's Towing, best hookers in town.
Hey guys, Ben Cato, Cato's Power Equipment. Look, if you're a landscaper in the Columbia area and you haven't shopped at Cato's, let me tell you a little bit about what you're missing. We sell high quality, industry-leading equipment and specialize in the brands we sell. We have an enormous inventory of service parts and equipment, as well as a 3-bay repair shop ready to keep your grass cutting operation up and running. We take pride in being a family-owned business. All in all, we do a little more than the rest because we care a little more than the rest. Come visit us at 4012 West Beltline Boulevard or online at catospowerequipment.com.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Shop limited time deals at the Truckload event at Lowe's, happening now. Save big on your favorites across the store. During this event, get up to 50% off select tools and accessories. Plus, find the perfect floor tile for your home for less. Get up to 50% off select styles while you can. Head to your local Lowe's store or visit Lowe's.com to shop the Truckload event today. Valid 12/29 through 1/25 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for details. Discount taken at time of purchase.
May old car problems be forgot in 2023. May old car problems be forgot with a new car warranty.
Celebrate the new year in a new Kia from Galliana Kia on Greystone. With zip, zero, nothing down, and zero payments for the next 3 months. Plus, we'll take any trade regardless of condition. Even if you're over mileage, have months left, or still owe thousands. Worried about your credit? If you've got a job and you make at least $2,000 per month, our lenders can get you approved.
Gotta go to Galliana.
Galliana Kia on Greystone. I-126 Zoo exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or KiaColumbia.com. Real stock number 3K1107. 0 down, $270 per month for 84 months at 6.9 APR. Plus tax tag includes $225 closing fee. Regular trade equity financed to new loans subject to lender approval. Expires month end.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game.
A great selection of new Chevys is available now at Herndon Chevrolet. The lot is packed with inventory and more is on the way. So shop your hometown Chevy dealer today.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs.
Founded by firemen with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell
On the home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
Back in on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, Wes, Chris, and Preston along with you wrapping up your Wednesday morning. Quick reminder, though, you've heard the promos for it. Big announcement coming up tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. on the early game. You're not going to want to miss that. Been talking about it all week. Very, very excited to announce the news. Again, don't miss that tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. on the early game. Wrapping up today's show, though, you guys were talking about it before the break. Kind of the way South Carolina thinks outside the box with the areas that they're looking to find these recruits. And one of those areas obviously being Savannah, Georgia yesterday, where they're able to pluck Michael Smith out of. And that's something you're going to have to do if you're going to have to, gain your footing and continue to improve while these, other schools like the Georgias, the Alabamas, the Ohio States continue to, be prevalent in the metropolitan type areas.
Well, I think it starts in the Palmetto State and then you branch out. And if you're South Carolina, Savannah could be a potential pipeline hotbed type area for them. I think Chris was talking about branching out into Mississippi a little bit more. I think that's probably a Jody Wright thing as well. Venturing up into the Northeast is much more of kind of a Pete Limbo thing, I think. Venturing into Virginia. You've obviously got Shane Beamer ties there. The Beamer name carries weight there. I think Beamer's going to be in Virginia at some point today at Highland Springs, which is an area, a school that puts out talent all the time, I think. And, Chris, it's all about connections, relationships. How long have you had those relationships and connections? And then it all sort of creates a puzzle at the end of the day. For South Carolina, there is a positive that I think there are some guys in state that are potentially really good players down the road. So you start with that, and then you branch out from there.
Yeah, and, as you build this program on the recruiting trail, you want every class to kind of build on the next. And we've seen that. We've seen this progression in Shane Beamer's recruiting so far, and that it has gotten better every year, I think, on paper, but just in reality, too. When you look at the transfer portal, there's and high school JUCO recruiting, there's a lot left that they can do, obviously, to continue moving up. But the 24 class, I think the way that they've started is kind of illustrating what they can do, and a combination of being resourceful, but then going out and winning some big-time battles. So certainly you want to win those battles in state. If you think back to Steve Spurrier and their best run, they were landing a lot of really good talent from in-state. They weren't getting them all by any means. There was a really good run. I mean, they didn't get Nuke Hopkins. They didn't get several other kids. John Fulton went to Alabama. Some kids went out of state. Some kids went to Clemson. But they landed a bunch of them. And so we've seen they're doing that in state. Cam Pringle, they're starting with him. They got a chance at a couple other linemen. You need to go and win strategic battles in these other, parts of, Georgia, DMV, Northeast. You need to win those first. And then as you increase your profile, then maybe you can go into Atlanta and win a few more of those battles from year to year.
Yeah, I think you got to – sometimes it's about just having a connection there. It might be a guy knows a guy, or there's a cousin that played at Carolina, or, there's a family member who lives in Columbia, even though the kid is from Atlanta. So I think a lot of this does come back down to, do you have maybe a built-in advantage here or there that can get you started with a prospect? But then you obviously have to be good enough on the field and showing enough progress on the field that you can go out there and actually land him.
All right, that'll wrap it up for today's edition of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Back same time, same place tomorrow here right on 107.5 The Game. Terry and Jay coming up next with the halftime show right here, 107.5 The Game.
WNKT FM Eastover, Columbia, your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game, a Cumulus media station.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day. and still pull out the big stick. The type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera. And the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single